know that was kind of irresponsible of us, but let me share to you what we got. A lot of you are curious about the process of buying real estate, so today I will be sharing to you how I got my most recent property. Now, there are so many types and ways on how to buy real estate, and I promise I'll do a real estate 101 video soon. But for context, in this video, I'll be talking about how me and my boyfriend got a condominium, a studio condominium for Assume or Pasalo, and I will explain more of that later. I'll be going through the step-by-step process on how we decided on which unit to buy and from which condominium, so it might differ from how other people buy it, but this is how we got ours. I mentioned in my previous video that I have a couple of real estate, but those were in partnership with a lot of other people, like 5 kami lahat owners nun. So for this one in particular, since it's more of a personal property between me and my partner, then this is what I'm going to give as an example because most of the decision really relied on just both of us and it wasn't more of a business transaction. Later on in the video, I'll also be giving some examples of real estate properties. So just a disclaimer, I'm not a real estate agent or a salesperson or a broker. So this is just coming from a person who invests in real estate. And I hope that you get to learn from this video. And without further ado, let's start the video. So step 1, as usual, is research. Whenever I go into something, especially investing and putting my money there, I really want to try to research as much as possible. And when it comes to choosing what real estate property you want to buy, there's a lot of aspects that you need to consider, but I'll just mention some that I think are the most important. So assuming you want a residential property, you can research first what type of property you want, either a condominium, a house and lot, or just a lot. I have a video talking about the differences or the pros and cons between buying a condominium and a house and lot. I think the most important really when it comes to real estate is location. You might have heard this before, but that's really the number one rule when it comes to real estate. Location can really be the reason why a townhouse in the middle of the city can be the same price as a mansion in the province, right? So location can highly affect how you can derive profits from your real estate property. Next is you can research on the pricing. When you get the prices of different properties that you're checking out, the accurate way to compare them is through price per square meter. Now, usually lots are already computed as such, but for house and lots and condominium, you're usually given a total contract price, and how you can derive the price per square meter is by dividing the TCP over the area or the total square meter. Next are the amenities if ever you are in a village, a community, or a condominium, because these might affect your decision. So like in our case, one of our non-negotiable is a pet-friendly condominium and maybe one with either a pool or a gym, but it would be best if they had both. So that's some of the things that we asked around whenever we met with developers and agents. But other than the recreational amenities, you should also consider asking about the practical ones, like the security, where the webcams are, or if they have any, when the security or how many security guards are 24/7, and what are the protocols, and also, for example, how many elevators there are. Because if it's like a 20+ floor building and there's only 2 elevators, and it's a commercial building wherein there might be offices, then that's gonna be really crowded, and that's something that you also want to consider. The last ones are kind of correlated, the developer and the property manager. You have to consider what other projects they've done before and how it's doing, whether it be for price appreciation or the aftercare or the property manager. So I've had friends wherein they had really bad property managers wherein they failed to give the electricity bill every month and the whole building just got cut off from the electricity altogether. So it's not like the tenants were not willing to pay for electricity. It's just the admin was bad at managing the property in general, right? So you don't want that to happen. So make sure that they have a good history when it comes to developing the property, turning over the property, and the aftercare, which is the property management. because these can also affect the resale value or the sellability of your property in case you want to sell it or flip it for a profit. After researching all of that, mostly online, next was to reach out to an agent or the developer. I've identified 3 main ways. First is to reach out directly to an agent or a broker. You can either email them, DM them, PM them on Facebook or their Facebook pages. The third one is the kiosks or booths that you mostly see in malls and supermarkets or their showrooms, right? So you can approach that and they would be more than willing and happy to help you. Most of the time, they would either give you a physical printed copy of the sample computations or they are going to send it to your email. And from there, you can compare and study the different properties that you've been eyeing. So in our case, we brought it down to 2 options, both studio units around 22 to 25 square meters. They had similar price points, but they were in different areas. For the first property, we really liked it because of the built-in smart home features, like automatically it's already smart lock, smart outlets with provisions for cameras and all of that. And we really were drawn to that. And also it was cheaper per square meter. But the other one had really good location. It was by the road and it was a little bit more expensive, but the developer was also more experienced than the first one. So we were kind of leaning towards the second property just because we really liked the location and trusted the developer a little bit more. So we went into their December 2019 open house really with the intention to buy. It was at around 3.3 million pesos at the time. And I remember being offered this property like 2 years before that at around 2.6, 2.7 million. So the appreciation was quite good. But we actually realized that we needed to talk about it a little bit more. So again, this is a property that me and my boyfriend were buying. So we realized that we needed to talk a little bit more about our finances. We were pretty open about it already, but we need to sit down and discuss, can we truly afford it? Do we want a prenup? Is that something that we want if ever we get married? What did we want to do with the unit? Live in it, flip it, or have it rented out? So these were all questions that apparently we didn't get to discuss yet. I know that was kind of irresponsible of us, but I think we had enough time. So we actually waited a couple more months and I think it was a good thing in a way because the pandemic happened, right? And we were not sure about our finances. There were a lot of changes and things that happened that affected both our finances, may it be good or bad. So since the lockdown up until around June of 2020, we kept on looking for properties for assume. Now, for assume properties are basically pasalo properties, meaning the previous owner chooses to sell either because they can't pay for it anymore or they just really want to flip it for profit because they want to take advantage of the market. So luckily, I was able to find 2 properties from the building that we want. So the first property that we were offered was in the height of the lockdown in March. So we were kind of iffy about it. We weren't so sure if it was the right move. And it was at 2.8 million, around that price. And that's the same price it was pre-selling for. So they're not taking a profit. They just really want their capital back. So how that works is that you're going to pay back the previous owner the amount that they've already paid down payment for the property. And you're going to pay the developer a redocumentation fee. In our case, it was 100,000. So the property was selling at 2.7 plus 100K. So it was 2.8 million. And I really wanted to get that property, but I was 50-50 about it. Jet and I were 50-50 about it. So we decided to let it pass. It got sold really quickly because it was so cheap. Imagine the current market price of that property was 3.3 million pesos. And luckily, we found another one in June or July of 2020. So the second property was being sold to us at around a total price of 3 million pesos plus the 25,000 peso reservation fee. So the reservation fees aren't refundable or transferable. So the previous owner already paid around 170k. We would give her 300,000, so she would profit 130,000 pesos. But we were going to pay also the developer the 100k redocumentation fee and the 20,000 reservation fee for a total of 3.02 million. Now, that's still so much cheaper than the current running rate, which was already 3.4 million pesos at the time until now. So, it was a win-win situation. The previous owner got to profit a little bit, but also we got to save a huge chunk of our money. And the best part was we got to get a property from the Tower 1 because Tower 1 was supposedly sold out already. Our next option was Tower 2, which was gonna finish around 2 years after the Tower 1. So we were pretty happy about that. But that's basically for assume pasalo. But usually there is a deadline for you to have it for assume. For example, you're the first owner and you fail to pay the down payment month to month, they will give you an allotted time to find another buyer or it will forfeit. And sayang naman, diba? You get some of your money back, but you could have profited a little bit from it. So, yeah, I'll talk more about for assume pasalo later on in future videos, but that's essentially how we did ours. So, we put our down payment in our anniversary. So, the previous owner already paid 2 years of it and we were to pay another 2 years at around 7,000 pesos. I'll put the correct amount on the screen. Next step is to do all the paperwork. Paying and signing is the most gruesome task because ang dami mong kailangan is sign. You have to prepare the PDC checks and everything. So, for our property in particular, we bought a property from Cebu Land Masters or CLI and the reservation fee was 20,000 and we needed to sign a lot of papers. So, it was the individual buyer's information sheet and the reservation agreement. So, I'm gonna put all the requirements here, but basically, we needed birth certificate, IDs, proof of income, the PDC checks for the next 2 years, and the redocumentation fee of 100,000 pesos. This differs from developer to developer. And lastly, we needed to pay the old owner. So all of this, you have to make sure that you get acknowledgement or official receipts for this and make sure to document all of them properly. And if you have a good agent or broker naman, they will actually guide you every step of the way. So you don't have to manually do all of this, but still do your due diligence when it comes to signing all of these papers. Okay, so what happens after you finish paying for the down payment? Like I said, ours is going to finish in around August of 2022, so next year. What do we do then? So you need to start processing your bank financing if ever you're going through that months before your turnover date. There are a few requirements also for that, but of course you need to start building good credit as early as now. Even if you're not even planning to buy a real estate property just yet, that can really help you in getting better rates for your loans in the future. So I'm in the process of getting bank financing for our other property. So I'll talk more also about that later. I know I did a TikTok on that and that had a lot of questions. So please tune in for that as well. Subscribe to the channel. So I'll post on the screen a sample computation of the turnover payments that you have to deal with. So you have the remaining contract price, the move-in fee, a one-time membership fee for the condo corporation, water meter deposit, some miscellaneous payments, and advance KUSA. Now, these are all standard payments for almost any condominium. I don't know and I'm not very familiar with the ones for subdivisions or house and lots, but I assume there are some that are going to be the same charges. So once you process all of this and the bank pays the developer the full amount, it's technically owned by the bank. It's encumbered by the bank until you pay the full amount of your loan. Now, when getting a loan, it's really up to you. You can go for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I would prefer to go at least 10 years and above because, like I said, ang baba ng rates ng home loans. So after all of this, you can now process getting your CCT or condominium certificate of title. So again, we're not at the process for this property just yet. Let me share to you what we got. So we got a studio condominium, 22.4 square meters. So it's northwest facing, so it's the non-harsh afternoon sun. It's at around 135,000 pesos per square meter. So it has a gym, a pool, and it's pet friendly. We did not get a parking slot anymore. We either maybe plan to rent a parking slot because we also plan to rent this property out to someone else in the future. So yeah, that's it for how we got our property. I'll make sure to update you guys once we do the turnover process and apply for a bank loan. So I know a lot of you have been asking for that as well. Okay, now for the properties that I recommend. I got in touch with two of my broker friends, and these are people that I really trust. They told me they'll give me a bit of referral fee if you guys want to buy. So please let them know that I sent you, Ready to Adult or Charm sent you their way. I'll put their numbers on the screen. First is Carla, who is based in the NCR, and she can help you with any Avida property or Ayala properties, and she gave me 3 recommendations. And the second one is May, who can handle all CLI properties in Visayas and Mindanao, so you can contact her for any property. So for the Avida properties, she told me that the hot properties right now are Avida Towers. So the first property is Avida Towers Astria South Tower 2. This is in Fairview in Quezon City, and it's where the MRT 7 passes. So a 22.5 square meter 1-bedroom junior starts at 3.5 million. 10,000 pesos lang yung reservation fee. You can get a 92,000 peso discount if you do a 10% spot down payment before July 21. So I know they have a lot of promos until July 21. So I hope that this video can go out before then. So the 10% spot down payment is 360k. The remaining 10% is payable in 60 months at 6,100 pesos per month. Yung remaining na 80% can be done through bank financing in 2026. If you don't want to do the spot down payment naman, the 15% down payment can be spread across 50 months for around 9,000 pesos every month. The next property is Avida Towers Sukat in Parañaque. This is along Dr. A. Santos Avenue. So sa south naman ito, parang corner Sukat Road and C5 extension siya. So really good location. It's a 22.16 square meter studio, starts at 4.3 million. And the promo is 20,000 peso reservation fee with 77,000 discount for 10% spot down payment before July 21 pa rin. And the 10% spot down payment is 456,000. The 10% remaining down payment can be spread across 60 months for 7.9 thousand pesos every month. And the remaining 80% can be done through bank financing in 2026. Now, the third property sa South pa rin is the Avida Towers Arden in South Park District, Alabang. So, Tower 1 pa lang to. It's a new development. So, mas malaki pa ang chance to appreciate. The 22.6 square meter studio starts at 4.9 million pesos, 20,000 peso reservation fee, and 335,000 pesos discount for a 10% spot down payment before July 21. And if you are a Philippine-born citizen, so you need a Philippine birth certificate to avail of this big of a discount. So, grabe, 335,000 yung discount. The 10% spot down payment is 470k. The rest of the 10% down payment can be spread across 60 months or around 8,100 pesos per month. So, super affordable, super gaan lang. And the remaining 80% can be done through bank financing in 2026. Okay, now let's move on to the CLI properties. So, for CLI properties, I'm going to put May's contact information on the screen. She's gonna take care of you. She's actually the COO of the company, and she personally offered to take care of you guys and to take care of the people that I sent over her way. So, I trust her. So this is the developer of the condominium I just talked about today, and they gave me a few properties then. First is Mevela Tower 4. This is in Cebu City. So, behind Country Mall, right between Banilad and IT Park. I'm actually very familiar with this property. It's near Montebello if you're familiar with Cebu. A 25.11 square meter studio unit starts at 3.8 million pesos. The promo is 15,000 lang yung reservation fee. They actually have a lot of different payment terms and methods. So I'll just put the options here. But super gaan, they have a 5% spot down payment then, and you get a 10% discount also for that. So parang for me, that's the best choice. Next is the Mandra in Mandaue, Cebu. So parang inner road siya ng konti. Very near Hernan Cortez Road lang. The 21.45 square meter studio starts at 2.7 million pesos lang. So this is a new development, so it's very cheap. The promo is 10,000 pesos lang yung reservation fee. I'll also put sample computations here and payment terms or payment promos nila. Ang dami talaga nilang options na fits with different people, right? So next is 38 Park Avenue. Mas high-end na to. The studio is at 4.8 million pesos. Parang super konti na lang yung available dito. So check that out as well. And next is the One Paragon Place in Davao. So this is along MacArthur Highway. It's very near Ateneo de Davao University. A 22.4 square meter studio starts at 3.5 million. Reservation fee is 15K. There's 10% discount for the 5% spot down payment before July 31 lahat yan. And I'll put also sample computations on the screen. But basically, it's only around 4,000 pesos per month. And the last one is in Iloilo, the Terranza in Iloilo. It's in Isnart Street, corner Arroyo Street. A 24 square meter studio starts at 3.4 million pesos. 50,000 reservation fee. Meron pa ring 10% discount for 2.5% spot down payment. So I'll put the sample computations as well here, but it's around 6.9 thousand pesos per month. So CLI is actually one of the investment-focused developers that's publicly listed in the stock exchange. So that gives them more credibility pa, and that's why I really like them. Okay, so ang dami kong really good properties na nakita for you guys, and I hope to look for more. I know I mentioned lahat condominiums lang to stay within the theme of the video, but I'll mention house and lots and lot-only properties then in the future. So yeah, those are all the property suggestions that I can give. So there are actually a lot more properties under those developers, but those are the ones that I chose, and I feel like ang ganda pa ng presyo nila to get into. And if you appreciate this video, don't forget to let them know that I sent them your way. So you're not going to be paying for anything in additional. They're just going to be sharing their commissions with me. So yeah, I hope that you like this video enough to share to your friends and to your family. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell.